Hey y'all, it's Brandon with Voodoo Forge, and a couple of weeks back, YouTube informed me I had been on YouTube for 10 years. So I asked people, I was like, what should I do with this information? Should I do like a shop tour? And people seemed like they were on board with that. So let's tour the shop. That I don't use, and I've got more hammers that I don't use, but this is all squares. This thing's really handy if you're tight on room. Having tools that can go into receivers on your welding table means you don't have to always keep them there. I'm just going to use one of my regular GoPros for this and not set up lights, so it is what it is. But well, let's start over here. This is the corner of the shop with the forge in it. This is a Majestic forge. I've had two of them. This is the second one. I think they're out of business. But the burners last forever. The forge bodies start breaking down as soon as you get them. But the forge body, it's sitting on my forge stand, which I built with this in it to hold longer pieces of material. When that won't do it, I've got a stand over here that's adjustable that I can put over here to hold longer material in the forge. Next to the forge, wedge block. This is the one that I use most of the time. I also use it as a cutting plate, which really irritates some people. I keep a vegetable oil quench in front of the forge, and vegetable oil's cheap. You can swap it out pretty regular, which you have to. And a water quench I also use to not only, if I need to cool off part of mild steel, I also keep my tools quenched and things with that. Let's see, behind the forge, there's a couple of big old Chinese anvils. This is the press that I modified. Now, it's not a forging press. Don't get that idea. I use it for some things with forging, but it is 100% not a forging press. It doesn't go fast enough. It doesn't retract. It's just for small things, for things I've made little jigs for and stuff. Okay, there's actually like 3 vices down there, pieces of railroad track. This is the container I anneal in. I use kitty litter or vermiculite to do that. Up on this wall, I've got some jigs. This is my battery box. This is all my battery storage in here. My camera batteries, tool batteries, rechargeable lights, all of that goes in there. This little bitty toolbox here has got screwdrivers in it, paper towels and stuff. Always have a MAP gas torch somewhere in the shop. This is my toolbox, and in the last couple of years I've made leaps and bounds with my toolboxes. I worked out of a very small toolbox and tool bags for years, and finally I decided I was going to buy this Craftsman top box right here. I got it and filled it up and enjoyed having the room so much that I got this Harbor Freight US General box and tore the wooden workbench out, and I've actually got enough room in here to get another one of these US General boxes this size, and I think I'm going to do that. I mean, I'm not in a hurry, but I keep, this is sockets and ratchets and all of that stuff lives in here. Maybe if y'all are interested, it probably won't be that interesting, but I could do a toolbox tour at some point in time if y'all wanted one. But there's no blacksmithing tools in my toolbox. These are all tools that I use to keep blacksmithing tools running, or I use on my tractor, or neighbors' equipment they bring up here that I've got to work on to get something off and weld, or just, normal homeowner dude stuff is what's in there. My rechargeable power tools are all on that shelf. The shelf above it is fasteners, and there's a couple of bathroom fart fans I use for different things up there. My pegboard, I like having my wrenches on my pegboard. I've got metric up top, regular combination wrenches, and then stubbies, and then standard down here. It really depends. I end up having to use both. Let's see. Torque drivers, Phillips straight slot. Always keep a big straight slot handy. Power strip, little portable oxyacetylene rig. This is my hammer and tong rack. Now, I've got more tongs that I don't use, and I've got more hammers that I don't use, but these are the ones that I generally use the most. And maybe we can go through all of these at a later date, but I'm just gonna general view right now. Pliers, adjustable wrenches, different pliers, tape measures. I try to keep them all up there by the window. This is all squares of different kinds. Okay, some of my woodworking tools are back there. I got a bunch of hand planes up there and antique tools. My big bandsaw. Oh, my big swedge block and a chop fuller live right there. My big bandsaw I keep on these furniture dollies, and I roll it out and take it off when I need it. I use this to cut the big tanks that I make bells out of, and that's what it's really handy for. My floor jack lives under it. My cone mandrel is back here because a cone mandrel, it's a good size one. But my cone mandrel is a tool that I don't use it that often, but when you need it, you've got to have it. But the rest of the time, it is just in the way. This little shelving unit, clamps on top, material, hardware, more material. This is Jules' little welder and plasma cutter right here. The back, I think I've had for about 1.5 years, and they made a huge difference in here. The top shelf is stuff that it's not really stuff. Some of it's stuff I rarely use. Some of it is stuff I just can't bring myself to throw away. The next shelf is stuff that I don't need a lot. My 110 welders up there. This is a fan from a dust collector. When I plug that thing and turn it on, it clears out the whole shop. Boxes tools came in that are still under warranty. My planer, another plasma cutter. There's whetstones up there. That rigid plumbing trifold, that thing right there. Man, if you get a chance to get one of those, I got it like $35 at an auction, and it has been great for doing a lot of things. Let's see. Scroll saw, metal chop saw, plasma cutter. These are empty boxes because I'm getting ready to ship some stuff. Like this, from here over, this is not how this is going to look all the time. I've got to do some work on these wind chimes, and these are coax because we got October coming up, and that's I'm in Granville, the artisan village, all the time, and so when you buy a bottle opener, you get a free iced glass bottled Coke. That's my marketing. A couple of swedge blocks. There's some tanks back there that I need to do some stuff with. Coil spring, one of those little Chio anvils. I've got more anvils at the Granville Blacksmith shop. More tanks back there, a shop vac. And this is my table saw. It's a big 10-inch table saw. It's a rigid. It's got a granite top. I don't like having to store it, but man, when I've got to use that table saw, it is handy to have. There's the box I carry my camera equipment in when I'm moving it around, and that is I don't know, something Vivor sent me. I'll look at it later. There's my Wilton vise that I guess I'm going to leave it alone, let it be ugly. It's beautiful in my eyes. Heading on around the back wall, this is my chemical cabinet. On top, I've got boiled linseed oil, thread cutting oil, mineral spirits, Coleman fuel, acetone and parts 50. I keep extra bandsaw blades here. There's that rigidizer I lost a while back. These are some little bell bodies I got to get cleaned up. These are my drill bits. Now I have a few metric sizes with my taps, but mostly I use standard drill bits. And I try to keep 4 or 5 at least, even of weird sizes I don't use much, because I don't like not having a drill bit when I want it. So I keep them in this caddy. Hole saws are over here, paint pens, markers, larger bits, silver and dimming bits, all that's over here. The center punches. So that all lives right there. Now filing cabinets. I love filing cabinets. This one, the top 2 are electrical things. For both house, vehicle, whatever. Then I've got plumbing and paint stuff. This one over here, this top one is all files. Like, not like go in there, but like, you know, files and abrasives, things like that. That's the toolbox I took back and forth to Granville. This is one of the thermometers. I have a few thermometers in the shop because it gets hot at different degrees. This is my stick welder. Stickmate, it does fine. Usually what I do is in the spring, I just wheel it over to the door of the shop, because that's when my neighbors who are all farmers start busting equipment, and I stick weld it for them. It's an old cabinet that keep jack stands, hydraulic jacks, things like that in there. Looking back into the forging area, this is my auxiliary anvil right now, which is a 110-pound Vivor Achaio, and for just using the hardy hole basically on this thing, it's been great. Post vise over there. The main anvil I'm using right now, I'm using one of these 110-pound Vivors. I just really wanted to use it for a year and see how it held up. I got it in January, and it's getting a little dinged, but nothing to be mad at, really. Before I get too far, over here next to my stick welder is my stack of anvils behind my pile of sledgehammers and axes. There's, with the exception of that blue Harbor Freight, the rest of them are American made. This is a cast iron American made anvil, and then there's a Southern Crescent, a Peter Wright, what's that one? Arm & Hammer? Big old Arm & Hammer down there. If we can see him sitting down there, he's sick, but they live over there. Looking back towards the center of the shop, drill press. It's a rigid drill press. Normally I just drill into that block of wood. I recently picked up this Harbor Freight Doyle vise. It's been great. I've torn up so many vices on this thing, and I mean, I've had some good ones, but somehow I tear them up. This is the grinder of death, and I don't know if you know the story on this, but my mentor, when they had his sale, he had several big grinders that we just did not use. We used this one every day, and nobody was bidding on it at his sale, and I got this thing for $15. The cover on the motor here is a bleach jug, a Purex jug. Gotta get a new grinding wheel and brush for it, but we'll always keep the grinder of death. Speaking of my mentor and that sale, this is a piece from the first big job I did with him. And this was made out of, forged out of Schedule 40 pipe, forged it flat and forged a tip. And then we built a jig that we bent this around, and these were elements that we used to make the eye and the peacock feather for a railing for a restaurant in Nashville. And that was the first big job I ever worked on. Steel beam I put across so I can hang tools on. Got spring fullers, got circle jigs, got clamps, punches of various types. Just this is, it gives me a little more space to put things. My Little Giant, my power hammer is right here. It's a Little Giant 25. I would be dead if I didn't have this. Like I would keel over and be dead. There's a camera I normally use. Let's move you out of the way. That's Jules' putrid purple toolbox and her little vise and her hoods. She's got all her tools in there. And behind there's my Fuller screwdriver display. Back here, behind the orange tool cart, I've got some triangle jigs for making different size dinner triangles, big square circle jig, punches, chisels, drifts, all that goes back there. This is my welder cart. This is a whole cart, welder cart, grinder cart. It's a whole cart dedicated to angle grinders and my porta bands down there. But I keep all my angle grinders in here, and I can keep up with them. All the grinding disc and cut off wheels and everything's just in here. I think, you know what? I also have some expendables for the plasma cutter in here, but it's all right here. Bottles I need to get filled for the oxyacetylene. That's a bell. That stuff needs to be cleaned up in the bucket. This is the middle of the shop from the welding table side. My hoods, I leave them out. And my MIG welder, which is Hobart 190. I use this for 90% of things. Air compressors also in the middle. Of course, the middle of this side has my welding table. This is like a leaf, I guess, that I made so I can extend the table. It's on. It's got two pieces of 2-inch steel square stock tubular, 2-inch tubular that goes into receiver hitches. Oh, let me show you. So I can slide that out so that I have a gap where I can work on things, and I can also take it completely out. I've got another receiver welded under the table over there. I've got a couple of different vices that go, like that big vise right there, and then a pipe vise that I can put in the receiver hitches. So that makes things really handy. If you're tight on room, having tools that can go into receivers on your welding table means you don't have to always keep them there. Now I make a lot of bells out of these big cylinders, and I've got a huge pile of them out in the yard, which my wife loves. But every once in a while I get them that are full. This one is full of argon, so Jewel has enough argon to TIG weld until, well, for a while anyway. This one's CO2. I'll use it as shielding gas. Those are two empties of shielding gas. That's my emergency shielding gas bottle. My 4x6 bandsaw lives over here. I can pull it out for cutting bigger stuff. And normally it's actually just out. But I'm trying my best to keep the shop a little more organized. These are the tops of tanks that will be made into bells. Those are my refractory hammers back here. These are weighted, leather-faced mallets that there are millions of uses for. I've got several different sizes of them. Old buck saw. These are my favorite axes hanging up there. Reed vise mounted to this table. This table's made out of 3/8 plate, just like this one. Of course, you know, I'd love for it to be 1-inch plate, but 3/8 isn't bad. My belt grinders are over here, and I've got an arbor press back there that I still got a plan for. Just got to get around to doing it. There's extra forges down there, crazy pieces of brass, and this is a little skinny beer keg that I keep over here next to my grinding station so I can quench what I'm grinding on and keep it cool while I'm grinding on it. Of course, the lockers, we're not getting into the lockers. Maybe one day if you behave yourselves. Another fire extinguisher. There's one on the other side of the shop next to the forge. This is air hoses and extension cords, and that is not the best way to keep them, I know. And a generator head up there. My chainsaw and chainsaw box lives up there. Of course, my lanterns, because I collect Coleman lanterns, because of course I do. Of course I do. And the locker. We all know the locker. Shop AK. Origin story of these lockers. A buddy of mine was with the 160th up at Fort Campbell, and they got new lockers. And when they got new lockers, they stacked these outside, and they sat there for like a year. And finally he's like, hey man, do you want some lockers? And asked if he could have them, and they gave them to me. So these are 160th lockers. Now this set of little lockers right here has power tools in it. Like, it's drills in there, circular saw. It's a drill and some valves and stuff, but it's supposed to have, okay, well maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just has all kinds of crap, but it's supposed to have all my power tools, like routers and biscuit joiners, things like that. Is what it's supposed to be in there. My pipe fitting tools are on this side of the locker on racks I made for them. There's a pipe cutter, thread cutters, pipe wrenches. More full bottles of shielding gas over here. I'm gonna see if there's any weird things I might have missed here. That's the thermometer on this side of the shop. So years ago, I made a video about making jigs and tools for the blacksmith shop out of cylinder caps, you know, like these things right here. And there was a guy who used to watch my videos. He might still watch my videos, but he used to comment on them all the time. And I appreciated him watching my videos, but he just, every comment he made, he was such a dick that it was like, oh, here's this guy. And his smart aleck comment on this video was something like, well, I can't ever find those. They make me give those back when I get my gas bottles. And I've never been to a scrapyard that didn't have 9 of those caps laying around. Well, for some reason that came up, I want to say back around Christmas last year. So I made so many bells out of those oxygen cylinders that I decided to just start keeping those caps. So these are the caps from the last 10 months of me making bells. Of that door, and they go all the way over to there, and then they're up here on this shelf. Now I know if you go to the welding supply to buy one of those, they're like 16 bucks, but these, I got all these for free. So this stuff is out there, you just gotta look. And a lot of stuff in the shop, you know, it's taken me years to build this shop, and I've bought the overwhelming majority of this at market value, but I've gotten a lot of stuff really cheap. I've gotten a lot of stuff almost free, some of it free, because I'm in this world and I'm constantly looking. Yeah, back over here are the oxyacetylene torches. They live over here in this corner, and the hose will reach anywhere in the shop. Those Anvils are sitting on an enormous chunk of a yellow pine beam, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to do something with it eventually. All right, y'all, that was my shop tour, and I don't know how this is going to turn out doing the whole thing on my GoPro, but I hope you got something out of it. Thank you for watching. 10 years on YouTube. I guess that's a milestone of sorts. But thank God I don't depend on YouTube to eat, and I'm not starving. So, but I do really enjoy YouTube. I appreciate every single person who watches one of these videos. I appreciate your comments. I feel like I've gotten to, you know, kind of have an acquaintanceship with quite a few of you. I like seeing your comments. It's nice seeing you come back. So I'd like to thank everybody watching this video and everybody who has watched any of my videos for that. Even if you don't like me, thanks, man. Come, let's hang out. So if there's anything in this this video that you would like to see closer, if you have questions about it, leave a comment. Maybe I can do a video about it later. How do you think the shop's laid out? Would you lay your shop out like this? Do you feel like I'm using my space correctly? I will admit I was planning on building a much larger shop before COVID hit, and then just building material prices skyrocketed. And I was like, well, I don't have enough money saved up for that after all. So one day, maybe, one day. But anyway, thank y'all. I hope you got something out of this. Y'all behave yourselves.